Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Living on the Verge. What a busy week this is shaping up to be with spring break and Easter coming this weekend. Of course, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that it is Easter of Ethan, and my grandson will be completing all of his Catholic sacraments at the Easter Vigil Mass on Saturday. So we're going to be busy at church, attending all three of the nights leading up to Easter, which is Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and then the Easter Vigil on Saturday, where he will complete his sacraments. And then Sunday, we're having our big Easter party where we will be celebrating Easter with friends and family, but also we'll be celebrating Ethan's huge accomplishment and the fact that he will be 10 years old the very next day. So it's a big, big week around here. And as such, it is causing a little bit of, there's a lot to do. The regular party prep is going on. We're going to have guests staying. By guests, I mean my son, who is bringing his brand new girlfriend for us to meet, which is a little bit exciting in and of itself. And so, of course, there's a lot of prep work going on around here to get ready for this big weekend. There's eggs to be stuffed and food to be made and decorations to be hung. It's just a really, really busy week. And I could not help but notice that as we approach Passover, which you'll be listening to this will be released on Tuesday, but on April 1st, which is Wednesday, is the beginning of the Passover week. And as such, in many, many religions, a very important week. And the Catholic religion is no exception to that rule. But what I always have noticed ever since I was a kid is that it always gets really gloomy and really gray during the week leading up to Easter. And yet, if I really, really, really try to think about it, there are only 2 Easter Sundays that I can remember in my lifetime where it has rained at all and the sun has not been out and shining. One of them was very recently, and one was when I was a child, and I remember us having to have our Easter egg hunt in a garage. And so it's just interesting how that is something that crossed my mind. And I can't help but notice every year at this time that it happens. And if you don't believe me, start keeping track from here forward. And I'm right about this one. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to real life, I had a really productive day yesterday. Like, really productive. It was Monday. I just had this wonderful list, and I'm going to read to you from my list what I was supposed to get accomplished yesterday. So Monday, go to the gym, service the spa, record this episode, fill out an application, do my banking update, do a huge tax prep block, order stuff for the party, including tables and chairs and some food, and buy a gift for a birthday party that I'm going to this weekend. Okay, now, that was what was on the list. And I want to lead with, again, it was a really productive day. I sat in my office from about 8 a.m. till about 7 p.m. last night. My intention was to do a tax block. If you've been listening, then you know that I've been trying to get all of my paperwork into my CPA so that they can get my taxes done, both for my business and personal. And, you know, with 2 businesses and one that was closing and all of these things going on, it's been a lot. And I knew it was going to take several days/hours of effort, but it just kept hovering above my head over and over again. And anyway, breaking news, I got all of my taxes done. The P&Ls have been sent to my CPA. Everything is organized. I got all my receipts. All of my backup is taken care of. And bonus, I even got my bank accounts all caught up and on track. And it was just one of those days where, I felt like this is a big deal. This is something I needed to do, and I got it done, and I did it. And I was proud of myself. I was mentally exhausted and even a little physically exhausted. My neck was hurting, all the regular things you have from sitting in front of a computer all day long. But anyway, I share all of this with you because at 7:30 I was sitting down having a talk with my husband, and I physically could not move. I did not even want to have to process the idea of figuring out what to order in for dinner. That's how mentally exhausted I was too. And so I said, you know what? I had some bear nugget chicken strips left over from when my grandkid was over. And I said, I'm just going to throw those in the air fryer and open a can of soup. And I'm going to eat like I'm 8 years old tonight because I'm just too exhausted to think about anything else. And even that took me a good hour to get around to, because the notion of peeling myself off of the couch just to get up and start the air fryer. I mean, I know this sounds really melodramatic, but what was supposed to take this week a couple of tax blocks and next week a couple of tax blocks to complete, I did all in one day. And so it was a really big task. And I just thought, gosh, the sense of satisfaction that I'm going to have from this, I'm going to be able to ride this for days. And then I woke up this morning. And guess what? I was feeling behind. The first thing that came to my mind wasn't, gosh, I'm so proud of you. You got the taxes done. That's been hanging over your head since January. No, it wasn't even relief. Whew, that's one less thing that you have to put on tomorrow's list of to-dos. Not like, wow, good job, Virginia. No, just, I'm still behind. What about the spa? I didn't get serviced. And, quietly nudging myself about not having gone to the gym. And that really started to bother me. It just kind of grated at me because I could see the win, but I couldn't feel it. And I didn't even really give myself a moment to. And then I found myself asking, why is that? Why can't I have a full day like that, do something that objectively moves my life forward, makes me feel good about myself, is something I had been trying to get done for so long, and still I wake up feeling like I'm already behind on everything else. Like somehow it didn't even count, or it counted, but it didn't count enough for me to give myself that pat in the back moment. And I think that's the part that gets me. Because it's not that I don't recognize what I did. Of course, I worked my ass off yesterday. I understand that. It's that I don't allow it to land. I just immediately move to, okay, but what about everything else? And I mean, quite literally, as I was sitting there on the couch yesterday, I got my list and started crossing off all the things I didn't achieve, made a big fat circle around the tax day, and then promptly started adding the list of things I didn't get done to tomorrow. And why am I still worrying about what's still waiting and what's coming this weekend? I think I've said this before. It's like the finish line just keeps moving, right? I keep moving the goalposts without allowing myself that moment of good job, Virginia. And the interesting part is, if you were to look at me from the outside, I think I come across as pretty calm, pretty capable. Most of my friends think I have my act together. Like, she's got it handled. My kids think mom can do anything. She'll figure it out. She always does. And don't get me wrong. These are all things that make me feel good. And I've built that over time. That's not nothing. But inside, here's a little secret. I don't feel like that all the time. Inside, sometimes I feel a little scattered, a little overwhelmed. Hell, some days a lot overwhelmed. And honestly, tired. And I had my grandson last weekend and we had a great time, but it was hot as Hades. I took him out to the soccer field and then we sat in the spa and, just the hanging out together is beautiful, precious, wonderful time that I wouldn't change for the world. But after I dropped him off and went to church on Sunday and I came home, I knew I had this short block of time before this busy week got started. And I just kind of sat there, almost immobile. And I realized how tired I actually was. Not dramatic, not falling apart, just, wow, I'm really tired. And you guys, I think that surprised me. And part of what's happening now is I've got this party this weekend, almost 30 people, and there's a lot to do. I need to get new sheets for the guest bedroom. I'd love to be able to get a pedicure. There's little spots on the carpet that I want to spot wipe clean. And then, there's the menu planning and the food purchasing and the coordinating. And on top of that, I've got church 5 out of 7 days this week. And I can feel that time is tightening. And here's the honest part. I can feel a little bit of pressure. Even, dare I say it, sometimes a little bit of resentment. But I want to be really clear about this. This is not about blaming anybody or about anyone not showing up or me being a martyr, because the truth is, I haven't really asked for any help. That's one of those things that is a little bit hard for me to do. I have a tendency to just take it on. And when I do that, well, it's no surprise. People assume I've got it handled, which, to be fair, I usually do. But there's this quiet moment now where I'm realizing, I can't do it all the same way I used to. I don't travel at the same pace I used to travel. Not that I'm having this big moment where I'm just crashing and burning, but it's just not the same way it used to be. And there's a little sting in that. Nothing big or dramatic, just, oh, well, okay, that's different. But I actually think that all of this ties into something bigger. Because now, if I'm really honest, this phase of life, it's not turning out to be exactly what I thought it would feel like. We all have this notion, one day I'm going to retire in my golden age, when I reach my golden years, after I'm done working, all of those things. And I think I had this picture of retirement where mornings were slow with coffee and a beautiful magazine with lovely destinations. And don't get me wrong, there's a perfectly wonderful Oceana magazine sitting here that I would love to peruse, but I don't have time. Or afternoons where I would be relaxing and sitting out with a hot tea or a cold tea, depending on the time of year, or maybe basking in the spa. And my evenings were going to be easy. Meals were just going to kind of sort of figure themselves out and would just be a part of my day and would just flow nicely. And I had these ideas where weekends would just be filled with soccer games for the grandkids and Sunday dinners where the whole family would show up, or overnighters with the grandkids. All of it just happening and flowing naturally. And don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of these moments. And there are beautiful moments in all of this. There are. But there's also things I didn't count on, like a fixed income to think about, decisions to make that I thought were long behind me, family logistics, health concerns, planning for the future. And somehow, I still feel like I don't have enough time. I used to work 10 to 12 hours a day. And when I say I ran my own business, I mean I ran my own business from A to Z. And so how can it be that now with that whole block of time available to me, I still don't feel like I have enough time for the very things that I thought this season was going to give me? And so that part has been really a little surprising and a little kind of unsettling. And I started noticing this pattern. It's kind of a cycle I seem to move through. I'll have this moment where I feel really good. A couple of weeks ago, I just had this block of days where I was just happy for 3-4 days in a row, and you could not wipe the smile off of my face. Like when I was at the beach with my friend. I'm present, I'm relaxed, I'm happy. And then I come back to real life. And this is the cycle. It's like I'm overwhelmed, and that leads to pressure, and then I push myself. And then I have a brief rest, but I can't allow myself to have the rest because even in the rest, my mind is still going, thinking about what should be getting done. Does this happen to you? I can't be alone in this. What I'm not doing, what's coming next. And then here it goes. The cycle starts over again. And I realize, Virginia, you're not actually giving yourself a rest. You may be sitting here on the couch, or you may be relaxing on a lounger in the backyard, but your mind is actually going in circles about the things that you think you should be doing. And that is not real rest. That is not me letting myself enjoy it. And so the question became, somewhere in all of that, there was this thought. And I don't say this dramatically, and I'm not looking for sympathy. Truly, I'm not. It was just a real question. What would happen if I just did nothing? Not the paperwork for the taxes, not the sheets for the guest room, not the decorations or the planning, just nothing. And I'm not saying this because this question comes from a place of me wanting to quit or because I want recognition. I think it just comes from noticing, wow, I carry a lot of pressure. Self-imposed or otherwise, I carry a lot of pressure. And you guys, I think what I'm starting to see, just even as I'm saying this out loud right now, is that maybe the problem isn't that I'm not doing enough. Maybe it's that nothing is being allowed to feel like enough. Even when I do big things like spend 10 hours in front of a computer and completely produce beautiful P&Ls and balance sheets for my CPA. It did not feel like enough. And maybe it's that nothing is allowed to feel like enough. Even when I show up, even when I follow through, it just rolls right into the next thing. And that's on me. So for today, of course, I'm still going to get through my list, or at least try to. That's just who I am. I'm still going to do what needs to be done. But maybe today, instead of putting all of that pressure on myself to worry about the next thing or not enjoy the moment, I'm going to let that one thing that I do get done count today. Just one. And I'm going to sit in it and I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be proud of myself and I'm going to allow myself the time to feel the accomplishment. Because let's face it, it is still spring break for many of us out there. It is still a busy, busy week. We still have things to do, and it's a big weekend. If you celebrate Easter, you've got things to do whether you're having a big party or not, right? But sometimes we just have to let that one thing count, just for that one moment, because it is what builds the momentum to catapult us into the next. And if you're feeling that too, like you're doing a lot, and it still doesn't feel like it's landing, well, I'm here to tell you, you're not the only one, but maybe we both might just be moving a little too fast to let anything feel like enough. That's what I'm noticing. And that's where I am today. And so here on Living on the Verge, as I observe life, the good parts, the messy parts, and all the parts in between, this week is one of those weeks that has a lot of all the above. So there's no changing the fact that it's a busy week and I have a lot of things to do. And actually, I'm quite grateful and blessed that life gives me the opportunity to share with the people I love and to have these moments. So I just want to take a moment to enjoy, and I want you to do the same for yourself because we both deserve it. And I hope you guys have a really good week. Don't be too hard on yourself. Take that little moment to pat yourself on the back. Let it catapult you to the next task you have to accomplish. That's where I am today. And until next time, I'll be right here, living on the verge. Bye.